Lately, I've been in a bit of a witchy mood. Not the spooky autumn kind, but the soft green, wildflowers in your hair springtime vibe. This video is my way of slowing down and soaking in that fleeting spring feeling before it's gone. Because as I get older, I've realized that magic just doesn't appear. You have to make it. And it's harder than it sounds when your brain is constantly stuck in overdrive, juggling work, life, emotions, and expectations. So this week, I'm giving my everyday life a little bit of a witchy makeover, not to be aesthetic or performative, though let's be real, I'm on camera. But my whole goal is to connect with the hobbies and rituals that actually make me feel good. The ones that remind me who I am, not who I think I should be. So if you're also craving a little springtime magic, grab your broomstick and let's begin.
I could keep alive a pothos. I have one of those house plants and then their little children in like little water vases somewhere around my apartment. So I'm able to do that. And so I thought, it's time. It's time to start this herb garden. I want to provide some fresh herbs for cooking, also tea. I'm excited to dabble into lavender and chamomile eventually. So I thought starting off with my little mint back there would be better since apparently it's a weed. One big goal I had for this week, and I'm so grateful that I received one of these as a gift from a friend of mine, the Smart Garden 3 from the Click and Grow. My goodness, I am so grateful to have been given this. I've been having my eye on these like hydroponic water-based things that are like indoor gardens that have like their own light set up because I don't feel like I have any space in my home that is open, that is perfect for this whole like lighting thing. Plants need a lot of light. Plants need a lot of things, and I'm just really not good at figuring that out. I've already killed a parsley and a cilantro, although cilantros are very hard to keep up. So I won't fault myself too hard on that one, but the parsley, that one hurt.
This Click and Grow garden was so easy to put together. Last night, I was so hyped because I had planned today out. I was like, today's the day I'm going to set up this little indoor garden, and I'm really proud of myself for doing it. But last night, I had looked on YouTube for some videos where people reviewed it and they set it up. Kind of just wanted to prep myself, and I didn't realize just how simple it was. So it's gonna be a huge bummer if these don't come to fruition. I'm gonna be like, okay, maybe this whole like plant herb witch dream I have for myself isn't gonna happen. But I'll stay hopeful, I'll keep the faith. And a funny thing here though is that my friend had kind of started to put the little seed cups inside of the little container here, and she doesn't remember what herb, plant, fruit she had put in there. So it's anybody's guess what is in there. We'll see if it's still viable. And if it's not, in a few weeks, then I have lavender and lettuce to put in there instead. But the biggest concern I have is if my light situation will actually support what I want to bring to life here. So obviously the light up there, not a problem. The lighting situation for this guy right here, and then my little spider plants, whole different discussion here. So blessed with these beauties right here as a renter. Awful. So I guess when I open them up slightly, we kind of can see if I bring them all the way around. And what do you think? Does this pot need to be larger in terms of width, or does it need to be taller? I don't know if it's conducive with the lighting situation I have here. I am soliciting your advice, so don't be concerned about making it seem like I don't know anything. I truly don't. I'm such a beginner at this. I really hope I can keep this alive because we are huge tiki drink fans, and being able just to pluck off a few of these leaves every so often would be so amazing, especially since I'm pretty sure mint is, I don't know, there's a word for it where it never needs to be reseeded. So just having a nonstop flow of mojito mint would just be a total dream. Tonight, I'm really gonna sit down and think about how I want this space to work. First, kind of imagining, okay, what do I want this space to be for? What's its purpose? And then I'll think about where are some good starting points for me to get going. Because I don't want to do what I've done in the past, which is, have all these new hobbies, buy all the things. And I think by buying stuff, I'm already participating in this hobby or in this new activity. So I want to make sure I'm being very intentional and strategic about my starting point, because clearly starting with parsley and cilantro without any research done ahead of time was not a smart move. So I have been researching mint, and I'll be sure to get a little bit more information as we go. So yeah, let me know any information you have regarding mint.
It was very exciting coming home from work today, knowing that my little plants were awaiting me. Last night, I kind of did the whole like shop your home thing where I looked in other rooms and found things that I thought might fit this space, which I also got very clear on that I do want it to be a place that looks beautiful. I mean, it's in an open shelving unit. It's not something that can be covered. So I do want to make sure it looks aesthetically pleasing to the eye. I'm a little type A like that. I definitely don't want to compromise on its function as a place to store things that have to do with my new gardening hobby and just any kind of witchy apothecary adjacent things. Like if I'm drying flowers to display them or to make tea blends with them, I want this to be more like a working space, which won't always be tidy and neat. There'll be a little bit of, mess that's in that area. And I think that's part of the aesthetics of a witchy apothecary, that it looks like it's been loved, it's being used, and that's ultimately the whole point of having a hobby, is not to display it necessarily, but to be able to have the tools and the space you need to create and enjoy. I'm just really proud that it already looks so nice. This has been a corner of like my little dining area that we've segmented in a really small open concept apartment that I've been just kind of looking at. Like literally I'll be side-eyeing this corner of my apartment where it was blank, nothing was on the shelves for many months, and just thinking like, oh, what am I gonna do with this? Like I just don't want to store random decor pieces on there. I want it to have a purpose. It has quickly become one of my favorite parts of my home, so I think I'm on the right track. The sweet aroma of cinnamon rolls are in the air, but they're nowhere near as good as Bryn's in the Spellshop book. That definitely inspired me making these, but they did really hit the spot. This week I really leaned into the whole witchy theme with the book I was reading and using to take some inspiration for my self-care practices and my hobbies, and that is the Spellshop by Sarah Beth Durst. I just finished this book while enjoying my cinnamon roll with some chamomile honey tea, which has been my favorite of the moment. And yeah, that was just such a great way to send off such a fun and endearing cast of characters. This book is pretty popular, and if you are unfamiliar, it is a cozy fantasy romance, I guess romanticize, and it takes place on the secluded island. It's like very fantastical in a very fun way, but it doesn't, I guess, I don't know, dwell too much in what I like to call like toxic positivity, where, there are some really dark realities about life that are part of this book. And I know some cozy fantasy books tend to really ignore that. And I like that this book was a breath of fresh air, a warm hug, but also I was actually surprised in certain parts of the plot. There were some like heavy moments. And also this book was a huge inspiration for me becoming a spider plant mom. And it's really ironic, coincidental, funny, I don't know, but it was very interesting that the same weekend I purchased my large spider plant, my mom, who I visited a few days after that trip to the nursery, actually gave me 2 mini spider plants that she kind of was neglecting, not super attached to take home. And yeah, I basically feel like my destiny is sealed. I was meant to be a spider plant mom. So I have my little Kaz collection going on. So cute. I just thinking about the characters here makes my heart so happy. So needless to say, I really enjoyed this one, especially when it comes to any of the cozy fantasy books I've read. This one is on the top of that list. If I could put it into one word how I feel about this book, I would choose enchanting. And the author did exactly what they set out to do, which became super clear to me when I read the acknowledgments at the very, very end. Don't you just love these little mushroom bookmarks? My bestie gave them to me, and they are my favorite bookmarks to use for spring. So the acknowledgement section starts off with, "This book began with hot chocolate. I wanted to write a book that felt like a warm hug. The spell shop is special to me because it's filled with things that bring me joy. As I wrote each chapter, I'd ask myself, does this make me smile? I've always believed that the classic writing advice, write what you know, should really be write what you love. So I filled this book with every bit of joy and delight that I could pour into it. Yes, exactly, 100%. That's what I got from reading this book. I think this book also comes into my life at a time where I really love the messages regarding community and knowledge that this book really affirmed. This is seriously the perfect springtime witchy book, but it's not the only one I've read recently and have really fallen in love with. I have my list here. So one I recently read this past month, I believe, was the Crescent Moon Tea Room. Gosh, I got this book on a whim after finding its cover to be so gorgeous while I was picking up my holds at my public library. And yeah, I don't know, this one was so cute. And I really admire an author that focuses on fantasy, revolving around women, and romance is a very, very minor point in this story. The Crescent Moon Tea Room is a coming of age story for three sisters who are witches, and they run a business and they're kind of finding themselves going in like different directions in life. And what does that mean? Is there a curse? It's some really interesting stuff that kind of gets a little bit political in terms of like the witchy world that they're creating. And there's also a sequel. So I am 100% going to be reading that. And it definitely gives springtime because it references a lot of like natural resources, specifically flowers, herbs. It's gorgeous. And then in a similar vein, right after that one, I read The Honey Witch, which I think is a newer release as well. This one is so gorgeous. This one does involve romance, but I love it because it's sapphic and just beautiful, beautiful imagery. Like again, that's what I think appeals to me so much about springtime witchy books is that they just are referencing nonstop, just tea, herbs, floral, like botanical stuff. Like it just sets you in this atmosphere with a vibe that's unmatched. And another thing I've really loved getting to escape into that's like witchy storytelling is my favorite game of the moment, Witchwood. I feel like this game is very popular for cozy gamers who are in the know. You start the story kind of confused as the player because your character is also very confused. They have amnesia. All you know at the start of playing this game is that your character is a witch and somehow is indebted to this black goat. I don't know. I just went with it. And so you have all these tasks to do, all these like potions to create, ingredients to find, problems to solve that will allow you to gain certain souls that are also indebted to this goat. I'm really enjoying it, but I think one thing I'm noting, and I'm sure people might find it to be a critique of this game, is that it can get a little repetitive, hunting down ingredients, turning them into potions, and then using that to resolve whatever problem. I don't really mind because I find that to be kind of a relaxing repetitive task. And I oftentimes video game as a way to kind of like settle down a little bit and relax, transition from work mode to relaxation. So I don't really mind that. I really enjoy getting to explore the different worlds, the different characters. The dialogue is really fun. It has a silly sense of humor and it's incredibly spooky. Like it's witchy and there's different worlds that you get to explore. And some of them are pretty dark. Like my favorite world I've gotten to so far is the graveyard, of course. There's a haunted mansion, there's a banshee, there's ghosts and there's massive spiders in this crypt. I think this game would be awesome to play during springtime, but also like any time of year, spooky season especially. If you would have told me 2 weeks ago that I would be this into yoga, I definitely would not have believed you. So this is week 2 of me and my partner being very consistent with our yoga practice because we're really trying to stretch way more, him for more like his mobility and just like general like health maintenance. And then for me, I've just been so achy when I come home from work some days, especially the days where I have no class period prep, and prep is teacher speak for a period where I don't have any students in my class for that time. And so there are some days where I literally don't even sit down from like 8:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. And those are the days where my lower body is just wrecked. So yoga has been such a wonderful medicine for me. I'm not doing like super intense yoga. It's a lot of like yoga with Adrienne. Her YouTube channel is awesome. And it's really all about building up my mobility and regulating my nervous system. So it's been a really, really powerful tool for me to use any time of day, honestly. But I've been really loving it right when I come home, which is what I did right now to kind of transition from work mode to relaxation mode, because my brain really struggles with that, to like settle into an activity and just get myself off of that mental hamster wheel of adrenaline that I tend to have my body just like flood with during my workday. And it's like a spell over your body. It just creates such a sense of safety and comfort that honestly, like being an adult isn't really conducive to building up those kind of emotions within your body and your mind. I've also been doing a few other things besides yoga that have been incredibly nourishing to me in a more spiritual sense, and really catering to a lot of the self-care needs I've been really lacking for the past few months, just being more like in survival mode. One of those is diving back into tarot a little bit more as a way to reflect and just kind of check in with myself, which this is a week I really did need that. So this deck is more like this week if I'm in the mood for more of like an uplifting message and I want to kind of think more on the brighter side, this deck is really ideal for that. And I think I picked this up when I was in India, like many years ago, like 10 years ago. I spent like 8 months there. And that's where like I actually did like a yoga teacher training thing. Like it was a whole era for me. And this deck kind of just brings back that time for me anytime I use it. And then when I want to be a little bit more in tune with more of my darker side, I don't know, some people say like the shadow side, whatever. Just, I want to get down to the bottom of things that are a little bit more moodier. I have been just so in love. Like it never ends, my love for this tarot card deck. And that is going to be the Macabre Tarot that's in the shape of this really cool coffin. At one point in time, I was able to open this up and it had the audio of like a creaking coffin opening, but now it just sounds like a bat chirping, which is kind of cool too. This deck is gorgeous. The art and words are created by Samantha West. Instantly, when I saw this online several years ago, it had my name written all over it. I love what it says in the little guidebook here. The Macabre Tarot is all about things dark and scary. The artwork was born out of the artist's own shadow work and exploration of the macabre, the dark and creepy sides. I'm not like forcing myself to do yoga or to pull a tarot card at the start or end of my day. Like I'm not even tracking these things, even though I have like a tendency to do that. I've been really falling out of love with tracking stuff, let alone like tracking my spiritual practices. Like there's just something about that for me that really just makes it too similar to a job or like some type of like commodification of my spiritual practices, my hobby, my joys. It's kind of feeling wrong. It's feeling more like work. And ultimately, I think we just need to accept that there are times and places in our lives where a lot of like these witchy things will resonate and sometimes they won't. And that's totally okay. Like I'm pretty sure it's been more than a year that I've ever consulted one of my decks for any kind of insight or a moment of reflection for myself. They're here, I have them, they're waiting for me whenever I need them. And I just think putting pressure on ourselves to be this idea of what it means to be witchy in order to call ourselves that or to be associated with that trope, gosh, it seems so unfair. It's been very rainy these past few days. I'm on the other side of the weekend, and I'm very happy to report that the Click and Grow is working. I mean, I don't know, I count it as success because 2 out of the 3 little cups of seeds, they sprouted, and I'm looking at it as an opportunity. It's great because I have wanted to get to planting lavender to dry that for tea and cooking. So, okay, yeah, bummer that only 2 out of the 3 were actually viable, but hey, now I have some time to prioritize getting the lavender grown. I noticed this week it was a really great buffer. Like it didn't solve my problems. Like these kind of activities are never this like one size fits all immediate release from my feelings of anxiety and my mental health issues. No, that's not what it does. What I felt like it did this week for me is it provided this cushion that helped me be in my power in these situations. And it wasn't always immediate. And sometimes it never happened in those like little moments, but overall it increased the likelihood that I can be my best self in situations of great hardship. I don't think you need to be even like spiritually connected to these practices. Like one of my favorite little spells that I did at night, some nights, not even every night, it felt right for me. Sometimes I was too tired or my heart just wasn't in it. But there were some times when I really needed it. I did it, and it was as simple as just pausing, stopping, lighting a candle, smelling something that my body will relax once it inhales, like lavender, and just saying a few words to myself to kind of like seal in the end of the day. Like it's done. I did the best I could, and it was just a really great reset. And words have power, in my opinion. And yeah, that was just really, really useful. And another thing this week really had come to the forefront of my mind is this idea of waiting. Like for me, my tendency, and I'm sure you have this too, is to create this to-do list because it helps you regulate your anxiety. Everything is super clear, what you need to execute, and that's fine, that's necessary. But to me, still, I'm stressed by what needs to get done, or like I'll add things on to the list of life that maybe aren't necessary, but they're what I think needs to be done. So we're pulled in like 80 different directions, and we feel like often, or I feel like I am just executing to-do lists all day, getting that boost of accomplishment when I do cross something off my list. I'm being productive, I'm achieving, right? And all these things are feeding into my perfectionist tendencies. But then where is the joy if we're just moving from checkbox to checkbox? That's the question I'm asking myself. How do I enjoy the waiting, the in-betweens of life? Because that's where life is happening. That's where the magic is. It lies in between all of the check boxes that you're trying to accomplish. And at the end of the day, the week, the month, the season, the life, where did I create magic for myself and for the people I love? It's all in the waiting, and it's all in the questions. I have no answers, but I appreciate you being on this journey with me. And the journey definitely continues. I'll see you all in my next video.